Hello, I'm Tim Wilde, and I wanted to share my wild thoughts on the new Dexter series, Dexter New Blood, episodes 1 and 2. And I just watched it tonight. Episodes 1 through 4 are now available on whatever it is, Showtime extension. I think it's Showtime. Showtime? Extension of... Yeah, Showtime. Extension of Amazon Prime? Is that where I'm watching this stuff? I don't know. Wherever it is, it's available. It's awesome. I'm going to say spoilers in this. I just want to talk a little bit about Dexter. I love Dexter. I watch Dexter. I go through the entire series, at least episode or seasons 1 through 6 of the original series, about almost twice a year, honestly. I like it. I only go through the last 2 or 3 seasons after Colin Hanks' Killer of the Religious series or season. Tom Hanks' son plays a villain, and that's kind of where I round off at some point before the last few seasons, because that's when things really get intense in the story. Dexter starts getting a lot more, or he's getting discovered. There's the issues with Lieutenant LaGuardia. Deb starts getting involved, and it gets a lot more dramatic and a lot more intense, and that's fine. I like the story. I'm good with how everything went in the original series. But I just kind of want to tune out and reset and go back to the beginning, where I just had fun with Dexter just kind of just doing his thing and being on the run from the FBI or trying to stay ahead of the Miami Metro or whatever. And the more flavorful, fun villains for me were in the first season. I love Lila. The Ice Truck Killer is okay. I don't mind. What's his name? Oh, Bail Organa. What's his name? Whatever. From season 4. Or season 3, and obviously freaking John Lithgow as the Trinity Killer in season 4 is like the greatest villain in crime drama history, I'd say. Anyway, but the reason I'm bringing this up, I love Dexter, and I go through the series, and I wasn't one of those people that really freaked out and got mad about how the series ended. I know a lot of people were dissatisfied with the finale. I was just as frustrated as everyone else about him, just some spoilers, about him abandoning Harrison and not meeting back up with Hannah. I really, really hated that decision for the character. I thought Hannah was a great compliment to Dexter. I thought Harrison, dealing with all the trauma that he's already experienced, would have been safe in their hands, because the two of them complemented each other and balanced each other out as far as their own baggage and their personal demons that they carry with them. Dexter has this dark passenger, and Hannah was someone that was fully aware of that, and she was able to embrace it, but also help him kind of accept who he was and still love him for it, but also help him, bridle it and tone it down in ways that even, well, definitely not Rita, but Deb couldn't even do. Deb had a totally different approach to it, which wasn't really helpful for Dexter in the long run. But I mean, it could have been. I mean, I think she could have continued to work with him. Just too many things happened towards the end that just kind of got in the way of her therapy with him. I like this series though, because the only thing I hated about the ending of the last one, it sucks that Deb died, whatever. Everyone that was close to Dexter always has these terrible things happen to them. That's the character. I didn't mind that, but I didn't like that he didn't meet back up with Hannah later like he was supposed to. I always felt like the shot of him up in the far north as a lumberjack or whatever, and just sitting on his cot, just contemplating, who he is and what he's been through and everything and the losses. I always felt like that was a sad and depressing thing, but like there was no reason he couldn't have just met back up with them. Of course, there's the issue of him trying to protect Harrison and letting Hannah take care of him. I like that this is finally coming back to that. You're getting a little more ground because, again, spoilers, Harrison and Hannah, it talks about it. Harrison is here. This is 10 years later, and Hannah is dead. She died a couple years ago of cancer. And they're dealing with a lot of the emotional reaction that Dexter has to having dealt with for the last decade, his having abandoned Harrison, and how he's coping with that, and he's struggling with it. And I don't feel like him saying it was the dumbest or the worst thing I ever did or anything like that. I think he's being sincere about that. It reminds me of the conversations he used to have with Rita, even though he wasn't truthful with Rita. Whenever he was sharing his emotions and how he felt about things, even though he was saying it in kind of codes, she thought he was talking about one thing, but he was actually talking about something else. It was secret. That's kind of what I'm getting from him talking to Harrison. Harrison is there. He's not totally just ready to come in with open arms to embrace his father and forgive him for what happened, but he's there to try and see what there is in a relationship, discover why, get answers. Why did Dexter abandon them? He's trying to deal with the fact that Hannah's gone. He got bounced around from some foster homes for a couple years, and now he finally followed a trail that he discovered that Dexter is still alive. I like that. I just want some more information about Hannah, because Hannah was such a great character. She was so cool and perfect for Dexter. I want them to establish more about that. I want Dexter to ask more questions. I'm only 2 episodes in. Right now, as I said, there's 4 episodes available to watch, and I'm going to watch the rest of them next, as soon as I'm done with these initial impressions. But I want Dexter to get a little more conversation with Harrison and have time for her to elaborate, because I think the closure for Dexter needs to come with Hannah as well as Harrison. Just because Harrison's back, he's going to sleep on the cot, and they're going to become friends, and he's going to help him in school. He's going to probably embrace him. I imagine that Harrison's going to discover his secret. Someone always does in the show. And I think that's great. But I think we need to establish more about where Hannah, or what happened with Hannah, because that was a big part of Dexter's life for a couple seasons, not just the very, very end. I like that this is picking up the slack there. The show's great. I mean, it's a different show. It's a completely different show. The music is different. The vibe is different. The tone is different, even though it's about a serial killer. You'd think it would be pretty similar, but there's not as much comedy as in the original series. The original series did have some. It was a dark comedy. There was some humor in there. This one definitely doesn't have very much. And if it's trying to be more funny than it is, it's really missing the mark. The vibe is different. And I saw what was coming as soon as it showed him, and they mentioned later that Dexter hasn't had a kill in 10 years. He has this relationship with Deb, is now the person visiting with him. I'm sure the whatever his name is, the actor that played Harry, is way too old to pass off being the ghost of Harry at the age he died as a cop. It wouldn't make sense why he's here so much older all of a sudden. But Deb being here makes sense. And Jennifer Carpenter is fantastic. I think she's a great actress. She does a great job playing Deb, with a lot of emotions that she juggles, from sadness to anger to happiness sometimes, whatever. But I like that she's just kind of there and just depressed. It shows her right in the very beginning, first shot, and I knew that was her. I didn't know she was going to be in the series, so I saw a thumbnail for episode 4, and I was like, oh, you ruined it. But it's, like I said, they showed it immediately, so it's not like a big secret. But I like the character Deb being there as the ghost. I know a lot of people speculated from the first series that after Rita passed, that they thought that Rita was going to become the ghost after that. That didn't happen. I didn't really care. I thought Harry was fine. But I like that Deb is there, and it's interesting what he's experienced with her, because the first few scenes before Harrison shows up and Dexter has his first kill, she's just there, sad, depressed, and just kind of talking to him about his boring life. And then after he makes his first kill, then the narration or the internal monologue comes in, or the dialogue. He starts talking to himself, and as they open the show and there wasn't internal dialogue, I was like, the second he kills someone, that's when they're going to bring in the internal dialogue. And I knew the first line was going to be, "Tonight's the night." And it was perfect. And it happened just like I thought I did. Tim, that's really predictable. Everyone knew that. Shut up. Anyway, so Deb being there, though, now she's turned very aggressive after he's made his first kill, because she's super, super protective of him hurting Harrison, because everyone that's been close to Dexter falls to tragedy. Not necessarily just death, but it does happen. And so she just wants him to do the best and leave Harrison alone. Now, what we learn is that these aren't actual ghosts. I mean, we know this about the show. They are Dexter's subconscious. That's Dexter projecting ideas and things into his head. Everything that, when all the guidance from Harry in the original series was all stuff that Dexter was talking or thinking things out, or figuring things out, or working out a problem or an issue, like the issue where he couldn't remember where he hid the body after the car accident, things like that. Harry was sitting there, nudging him and trying to guide him, but it was just Dexter's memory trying to come back together to piece it together what happened. Things like that. Deb is now playing Dexter's conscience, annoyingly loud in his face in anger about his being involved with Harrison. And so that's just a juggle of emotions in this decision for Dexter internally. So I like that. I like that Deb's there. I hope they expand that and do more with it, because she's kind of a nag at this point. I want her to be more more sisterly, the way he remembers her. Because it's not her. She's not a ghost. That's not what the show's about. Casting, I'm just going to say, I don't like necessarily... I mean, I'm fine with the acting job of everyone involved in the show, but the guy that plays Harrison is not like... He doesn't feel to me like a grown-up version of that kid who was in the original series. He's like a solid brunette. This is the child of Rita, a blonde, and Dexter, or his hair's kind of amber, it's a light redhead. But definitely neither of them were brunette, So I'm like, why does Harrison have this dark skin or dark hair? And then they made Dexter's hair a lot darker. And the reason I mention this is it just goes adds to the tone. I think that was a problem. If you have Dexter's orangish red hair among all this stuff in the north with the night and the cold icy weather and the white snow and everything, and just the homely, the wood and the not just the trees, I mean interior of these buildings, it's all very kind of Western, old-fashioned. I think it would clash, because that's one thing that's definitely missing is color. This palette is very different from the original series, which was in Miami. A lot of bright clothes, bright hair, bright scenes, bright sunsets, bright trees, bright green parks, things like that. This is definitely not that way. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, why did they cast that kid? Probably because it clashes and it looks better for this environment. That's probably the way they made Dexter's hair darker, because the orange and the white complexion and the tan that he used to have, you wouldn't have that tan anymore. They want to make him a little more ghostly, because this Dexter is dead. He's like been reborn, and he's like starting his life anew. Now that Harrison's back, that's going to completely change everything, because Dexter hasn't had a kill in 10 years. He's kind of coped with everything, and he seemed legitimately happy. Not like where he was putting on a show to blend in the original series. He seemed like his little routine in his life wasn't about blending in as a camouflage. It was about him just being happy. He's just like trying to settle and just trying to make the best of what pieces are left of his life. Not getting too attached to anyone. He's in a relationship with the sheriff, but it doesn't seem like he's super involved like with her daughter or anything. They're not like, I don't know. We'll see if they explain more about that, but it seems like he's just kind of existing and doing it as painlessly as possible, where he doesn't even name the goats, which is kind of funny. He mentions that to Harrison, but now Harrison's there, so now he's like having to put on his dad pants again and have to juggle that. But now he's a different person trying to juggle and pretend to be dad. When he was trying to be a father when Harrison was a child, he was still juggling that schedule and that mindset with killer Dex. Now he's like, he's not a tone, but he's definitely a more repentant version of Dexter. I don't know if repentance is the right word. He's at least in an abstinence phase of not killing, but now he's killed again. This is going to bring back the Dark Passenger. Deb's going to keep getting more angry, and of course, Harrison's going to discover who he is, because that's the whole thing. Dexter always gets figured out or caught by someone slowly. I don't think they have enough confidence in this series that it's going to go like long term, like more than maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3. So I'm sure that Harrison's going to discover who he is early on, and then you're going to have the jeopardy of, do I teach him the ways of the code? Because they already alluded to Harrison having some darkness in him. But do I teach him and guide him that way, or do I really finally find a way to kill off this Dark Passenger? I think that's where the show's going to go. I enjoy it. I like the tone. I miss the old music, but it doesn't fit this vibe. It's a lot more modernized, more stylistic with how new shows are going. Not necessarily a fan of what they're doing with Deb, with the weird ghost choppy stuff that they're doing with the editing and the camera angles and stuff, where you like see her like at a table, it cuts to Dexter and it cuts back and he's by himself. Like, we get it. She's not really there. You don't need to be like too in her face or weird about that, where he'll like walk past her and then she vanishes and appears in front of him again. Stuff like that. Her tapping on the glass with the bullet, like stuff like that. That was cool. I like the creepy chill, because he's tormented right now. That's fine. But like, you don't need to be so crazy with and artsy with the camera work to show us. Just have her in the scene. It's fine. Harry was always just kind of there when he needed to be there. Sometimes they got creative with the ways he came and left. Sometimes in uniform, sometimes not, whatever. But this one, they're trying to be a little, I don't know, it's almost like they're trying to play with the ghost angle more than it should, because that's not what she is. Anyway, I like it. I'm excited to continue going. I don't even know how many episodes are going to be in this season, but I look forward to it. I'm going to do, probably, if I care enough, I'm going to do reviews for each episode. I like the story. I like what's going on. I like he's a little rusty. You're totally getting that vibe that he's already made some mistakes and trying to cover up. Dexter's always trying to cover up and stay ahead of the game, but he, you can tell he's a little sloppier. He's transitioned a little bit. He doesn't need, I liked when he broke the glass and made the slide. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then he's like, I don't need a trophy. He like threw it back on the guy. I like that. It's interesting. So is he just going to turn in just like a regular killer, or is he going to go back and talk about the code more? I'm curious about that too. He's got to stay safe, but I don't know, we'll see. I like it. I believe in Michael C. Hall. He's such a great he's a great actor. He plays Dexter very well. And I like that Dexter, or that Michael C. Hall, he's one of the many executive producers of this show. And I know that he wouldn't have signed on to play the character again if he really didn't believe in the story, I'm sure. So I have faith in him because he directed or he produced and was on board, or had a lot of the drive in the original series. I trust Michael C. Hall. He's a good actor. And passionate about this character. He is this character. So I'm excited to see where it goes. If you, whatever. I'm going to say, if you like this review, whatever. Who cares? If you watch this, you probably will watch the episodes. So I don't know. I'll let you know what I think about the rest later if you care. Or if I care to even tell you. We'll see. Maybe it won't even be noteworthy. We'll find out. So anyway. Alright, thanks for watching. And I'm going to dive back into Dexter episode 2 or 3 and 4.